What's up, YouTube? Thanks for watching. Are y'all recording? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. Also, don't forget to follow us at Facebook and Twitter at y'all recording. Peace! Oh my goodness.
Hello and welcome to Are Y'all Recording? Today we have Phil, and with me is...
What the fuck?
I am joined with What the Fuck? And...
Caitlin.
Alright.
Wyatt?
And I'm Maya.
And we are Are Y'all Recording. I already said that once, but we're gonna continue.
Oh my god.
I feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, you, I don't know what you just did. That was the worst intro we've done.
I liked it. It was great.
Thank you, sister.
Phil. He was too happy, and now I'm afraid that he's been taken over by an android.
Taken over? What are you talking about?
Or his circuits malfunctioned.
Sparks and everything.
Yep.
Welcome back, everybody, to Audio Recording. It's another episode, another fun time. This week, what we're going to talk about, Titans recently started on the DC Universe stupid streaming thing. And I remember the first time I saw that trailer, the first thing that came to mind was like, man, this looks like a friggin' fan film.
Oh my god, it's so bad. Have you seen the Batman suit?
We'll talk about it in a little bit. But, yeah, and so it got me thinking, there's all types of fan stuff out there. There's fan films, fan fiction, fan art. And I just wanted to talk about that today and see how everybody felt about it. Would we ever do one, as a group or individually? I'm just curious to know, how everybody feels about that. Why are we No. We're not starting with you.
I'll go first.
Maya, okay.
The artist of the group.
Yeah, so I make art and I sell my art at conventions, and my art is it's a niche. It's for a niche market. Like
Find her at Maya Lee.
Yeah, find me at Maya Lee. You can look at my Instagram. It's Maya Lee Art. Anyways, so it's a niche market. Not everyone wants to have a chubby Catwoman, but a lot of people do.
But
so,
she's adorable.
anyways, so
have her on my laptop.
I have my own original characters and my original art that I sell, but no one really wants to, like, when you go to a convention, you're going looking for things that are familiar.
Mm-hmm.
So in order for me to make money, I have to do fan art.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I didn't, I wouldn't make any money.
Yeah.
I'd make a little, but not as much.
Unless until your characters become a thing.
Yeah.
A common thing in people's eyes. Fan art is the way to go.
Yeah, so that's how I draw people in. And while they're looking at fan art of chubby Harley Quinn, they can look at my other ladies and be like, oh, what is this lady? What does she do? Who is she? But most people just want to
buy Harley Quinn.
then buy Harley Quinn because they know Harley Quinn. So I'm all for fan art. Like, that's cool. It's dope. Like, that's how you gotta eat. So then, do what you gotta do. So yeah, like I probably wouldn't do like a fan series or like my own story based off of characters that already exist.
Like, so you wouldn't be doing a fan fiction per se.
Yeah, no. I also wouldn't like take or rip the existing design and just redraw that. Like, I put my own style on the character, and it's not my character, but it looks like something in my style, so it kind of makes it a little different. But
That makes sense.
I'm all for fan art. Do what you
I know you did that a lot with Sailor Moon.
Yeah. Sailor Moon's a good one. Just make it your own. Don't copy.
Because copy gets you in trouble.
Yeah.
Big time.
And like, there's this whole thing within like the artists community where like people look down on people who use reference, which I don't understand. Like, I honestly don't understand. They're like, oh no, you used reference for that. You're not a true artist. But like,
bullshit.
Honestly, if
Some
you're
of them,
not looking at reference, like, you're not gonna
Nothing
improve.
is original.
Yeah.
I mean, if we want to go down that road, some of the masters used references when they were working on their work. Big, huge paintings, but yeah, they've got people who modeled.
I mean,
for
Warhol stole Campbell's design, so...
It's technically fan art.
Yeah.
Screw anyone.
But yeah, like I don't understand that mentality that like, oh, if you look at a photograph for like a reference for poses, that's like somehow cheating.
No.
And it's like, no, bro, like you have to like know how the light's gonna hit this figure. Like, I don't agree with that.
That mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Purists are stupid.
And now on to the writer of our group.
Yeah, so I think fan art and film and writing are all really great things. I think that there's, it's definitely, if nothing else, a kind of a way to further, put yourself into the world that you've come to love. I myself, even though I'm a writer, I've never really read or written any fan fiction because I have so many books on my list to read, like I
Because
can't.
it's all garbage.
Well, like, yeah, that's another thing too, is that it's hard to find like good ones because it's like there's
It's
just
all smut.
because everyone and their dog is writing about whatever, like
17.
17, So, but I think the only time I've ever read fan fiction was when my friends were like, "You have to read this." Like Harry Potter goes down on whoever, and so it's just like, yeah. But I mean, I think. Out of all the mediums, fan films are my favorite because, I'll just be on YouTube and I love seeing kind of artist interpretations, but then also, like, people will create new kind of sections of the world that's already existing. Like, I love seeing, like, Star Wars fanfic where it's just about maybe a minor character, a character that we haven't even seen, but it introduces an aspect of the Jedi ways or, the world around them that, we haven't experienced but that we know about. And so that's really fun to see. There was one that I saw recently where is this blind Jedi and she was just basically taking apart Anna. I love her. Oh my gosh. But so she was taking apart the lightsaber with the Force, and it's the first time that we ever see, the lightsaber broken down because that's never really shown in the movies, and so like that's I love seeing things like that. And also I think my next favorite fan film was about the Skull Kid from Majora's Mask, when it's like basically it follows the same story but it's in this amazing art design of the Skull Kid and how he comes to find Majora's Mask. So I think it's a great way to kind of delve into
and expand the universe.
these fandoms that we have. So
I mean, I haven't really read or seen much of any fan made.
That's not true.
That's not
You
true.
look
spend-
at what's on your
Yeah,
wall,
you've
bro.
got,
It's
you've got fan
everywhere.
art on your walls, and you spend a lot of time on Pinterest looking at fan art of just everything.
I guess that is true.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I said, I haven't read or watched many fan-made films or movies
Yeah,
or
so
books.
you like fan art.
Yeah,
You
I'm
don't
more
really
along
get
like
into
the aesthetic of everything.
I bet you that you have. You remember that Power Ranger short that came out a few years back?
No, I honestly don't.
Oh, it was everywhere all over the internet.
The one where was the White Ranger killed every?
No.
Oh no, they had died.
They were being killed off by somebody.
Yeah.
And the Red Ranger Rocky was interrogating Kimberly, who was played by Katie Sackhoff. They got like big name actors to play these. Like James Vanderbeek played Rocky, the Red Ranger. Katie Sackhoff played the Pink Ranger, and basically he's interrogating her, trying to figure out where Tommy is, and never got around to it. Basically, there's cool fights and stuff like that. I'll show it to you guys later. I could have sworn everybody saw it. 'Cause
No,
everybody,
I had no idea
I've not seen it.
this existed.
Everybody was talking about that fan film when it came out.
Okay.
I just got into fan film pretty recently, so that's probably why I haven't seen it.
Sorry
But-
if I cut you off.
I mean, yeah, I mean, fan art is great because it's the characters that I enjoy watching or playing as on their own spin or the own art style of like the artist itself. But other than that, I mean, there's not really much that I can add to this conversation.
Well, you can because we're coming from an artist standpoint,
So
but
it's
you're the
different for us.
customer.
Yeah.
So like, why are you so interested in fan art? Because I think you are very much. I mean, there's this right here. This is fan art. Like, why do you spend your money on fan art? Like, what draws you to it?
He's like, what?
Search your feelings, young one.
I don't have those. Remember, they're all still taking a bath in alcohol.
Oh, okay, yes.
I don't know. It's hard for me to explain. It's hard for me to it's just hard for me to explain.
They just like the way it looks.
Yeah,
It's aesthetically pleasing.
look at this 4-piece art that I have on my wall of Sephiroth fighting Sephiroth fighting all of Final Fantasy VII, and Bahamut Sin in the background of that, just readying up his attack. And then over here we have Eileen the Crow from Bloodborne, one of my favorite games.
There's this.
Yeah, there's this. I actually have
banner.
more. I have individual singles of those
This
of
is
the
an
Avengers.
banner.
Yeah, of the Avengers.
My favorite is the Ruby and Weiss one that
There
they're fighting
was
together.
another one of Blake and Yang
Oh my gosh,
that
I want that one.
that I didn't get because I didn't have the money.
Blake's my favorite. Anyways, go ahead.
But there's something that draws you to this fan art. Is it just because somebody did their interpretation of your favorite characters and you're like, I want that?
Well, yeah, it's like my favorite characters, but also there's this original characters that are no names of by an artist that I can't remember.
You like the epic stuff, the stuff that it's like there's some like she's like I don't know, she has like the world in her hands and is like on fire, and this is like they're in a major battle or whatever. I think that you like the really like powerful
Powerful
stuff.
imagery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess that could be part of it, but I mean, again, it's just the aesthetic of the art itself that I really enjoy.
That makes sense. Now, for me, I approach it because I expose myself to so much, except for fan fiction. I'm not a huge fan of that because that stuff goes down quickly. But as far as fan art goes, back when I was active on DeviantArt, that's all DeviantArt is at the end of the day. It's just fan art all day. The original stuff gets seen, but you get more hits on the fact that you drew a really weird looking Spider-Man or whatever. And
Spider-Man inflation.
yeah, that's a thing. But fan films have been the thing I've been really into the last few years. Is just folks' interpretation of one minor part of a story that they read, and it's like, I want to see that played out. There are folks I follow like Ismahawk. He loves Nightwing. He's done a whole Nightwing fan film series, and they're really cool. And the fact that he goes out of his way to make a body armor, and because I love behind the scenes, so costuming, the fact that they wrote it, and it just, and you go,
The costume looks better than Teen Titan or the Titans Batman costume, which looks like it was made out of EVA foam in a garage.
I can't wait to see this costume.
Probably was.
Yeah.
But I feel like that stuff is necessary because we as fans, as geeks, or whatever you want to call us, we want to express our love for these things, and to talk about it sometimes it's just not enough. You like you said, Caitlin, you want to be a part of that world and put your stamp on that world, saying, this is what I believe that would be like. This is my interpretation of that.
And I mean, a lot of, movies and TV shows and books and stuff, they kind of end without everything completely wrapped up in a nice little bow. And so you want to be able to, there's a lot of kind of like, well, what happened to this character? Well, what did they do like 10 years down the road? And so, or what was going on behind these scenes that we only saw because it's like a first person perspective or whatever. And so fan art gives you that ability to go like, someone out there has had that same kind of desire to experience what the, original creator didn't give because there just wasn't enough time or there wasn't enough pages or whatever. And so, you're able to go out there and kind of say like, well, what would happen if, and it's out there. Like there's, I mean, of course, that rule also kind of applies to, what's the number for porn? The Rule 34. Like that's the same for just kind of any aspect. I mean, yeah, you're gonna find any kind of porn with the Rule 34, but you can find any kind of thing that you want to see with fan art. I think, that really, we see that mostly, I think, with relationships, not just with porn. But I mean, I know the show Ruby, there's fan art that matches up every single character. There's so many different variations of like how the characters are matched up romantically, and so because of that, the show, they don't really make any clear distinctions of like who is with who. Like it's just kind of everyone's kind of just.
There's a very clear like interested parties.
Yeah.
But there's not any like this person is with this person.
I think everybody wants that togetherness. No one wants to be alone, so everybody's got to ship something.
For sure. Yeah.
And one thing that goes back to what Wyatt had said in another episode, we live in an age where in the internet we have people, everybody wants to create. So it's interesting to see, what people are able to create given whatever they're given. If they're writers, they do fan fiction. If they are wannabe filmmakers, they do fan film. If they're artists, fan art. And we get exposed to so much because this generation specifically, like you said, all we want to do is create. And it's interesting to me, and I'm interested in seeing where that comes down the road. Oh, now we're on Wyatt.
So I'll start off with, I have my exceptions, right? I'm really not a fan of fan art. I don't like fan art, right? Pretty much any kind, other than like you see with Harry Potter and Star Wars, where people are creating their original characters and putting them into a world. And I think as a world that might be a bit much for one single person to handle, being able to use that as a template, because they have their own rules. Star Wars has its own rules. Harry Potter has its own rules. So your world building is already set up, so it's much easier and quicker to take a character and drop it in.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm fine with that. Original stories, as long as it's not, and then I came and saved Harry Potter.
Yeah.
It's like,
You don't actually change the original piece.
Yeah.
You're just adding to the universe and not putting yourself in situations.
Yeah, because I would love to make a Star Wars or Harry Potter or superhero Marvel or DC kind of short, but put away from the main stories, or even if it brings them up or something like that, doesn't directly impact the main story itself, because I feel like that's, as a creator, I kind of feel that's disrespectful. If you go and you put a backstory to Gandalf,
Don't mess with Gandalf.
Yeah,
I'll fight you.
because like, and this is one thing, like I'm not a fan of reading like books without pictures, because it does a good job of describing it, but I know what I have in my mind what Harry Potter looks like is different from what Harry Potter is supposed to look like. It's close. It's still a brown-headed white kid with a scar on his forehead, but mine is right down the middle. In a movie, it's off to the side slightly,
Because that's aesthetically pleasing. It messes with the symmetry and it's weird.
Yeah.
Makes him kind of look like a derp.
That's why they moved Kylo's scar, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like, I don't know, I feel like as a creator, I make figures that I want other people to customize, but they're made with that in mind, But like, but yeah, they're made with that in mind, but like, I don't know. If I create an IP and a character and a storyline, I don't want anyone messing with that. It is the way it's supposed to be. It's the way it was meant to be. No, that's
I was letting him make his kitty fail.
He was about to scratch the shit out of me.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, so like, I don't know, that's how I feel about like as a creator, fan art is you don't want people touching your baby.
Yeah.
How would you feel if let's say you created Batman, right? I know there's fanfic of Batman wearing a white suit, You know, Jaden Smith went to prom as Batman in a white suit.
Oh my gosh.
You know, so there's fanfic of it, but like as the creator, like, could you imagine like reading a book about white suit Batman? You know, you'd be like, no, he's in a black suit with, you know, a big symbol.
He is the knight.
Yeah.
Well, there's Moon Knight. That's what you got Moon Knight for.
Yeah, but like that's a new character. Like, even if it's, you know, fanfic, like, it's a new character with, he has his own story, his own backstory. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you can loosely base things off of other things, but
But I think the general consensus is, you know, it's fine to add to the lore, but don't go changing what's already been established.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so I really don't like when people touch major characters, already established characters.
So how do you feel about people like taking inspiration from an existing property and changing it into something else?
Depends on how much inspiration they're taking.
Okay, The Thing, John Carpenter, the director, made a movie called The Thing.
Mm.
You know the monsters in that, right?
Mm.
Well, that heavily inspired. I forget who published it, but Dead Space. The monsters from Dead Space, the necromorphs, are just the
That's
thing.
fine. That's fine.
How-
Yeah,
Because
I mean that's just how art
Yeah.
works. You know,
Yeah.
you get inspiration from other
Mm.
art.
because Dead Space is a completely different story than
Yeah, it's a different
Okay.
IP altogether. So you don't have to worry about now unless they said something pulled something directly from the thing. Then you're infringing on some things, and then there could be legal trouble there.
Yeah.
But
Like, I'm okay with like comic books. Comic books have so many different writers, so many different artists. You know, I'm fine with that because it's permission given.
hmm
You know, so when someone puts their own spin on Wonder Woman, they're supposed to put their own spin on Wonder Woman. You know, and I don't necessarily. I guess I kind of have a problem with, like, you know, just artist alley people making Wonder Woman because they don't have the rights to it. They don't have the permission. They're not necessarily following the guidelines. You know, because there's strict guidelines. Certain things you're allowed to do with Wonder Woman. Certain things you're not.
Mm.
You know, even I think she's isn't she bisexual or lesbian or something like
no,
that?
she's into everything. She
Yeah, she's
might as well
like-
be pansexual.
Yeah.
Free
yeah.
love.
So, like, but even that was a decision made by higher ups. Like, the writer wasn't just allowed to be like, oh yeah, she'd do a robot, you know?
Well, I know a few years back there was a legal issue with professionals, people who have worked on these books, were getting in trouble at cons because they were doing work for fans, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And the bigger companies were like, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. You get sued for it. And it's like, this is what people want at the end of the day. I can sit and draw caricatures of people, but that's not what they really want. This is Comic-Con.
Yeah.
They want to see me draw my interpretation of Wonder Woman, of Batman, of
And
Superman. That's what they want.
Well, and I get a lot of my writing inspiration by the most popular tropes at the time. So, for instance, when The Walking Dead was really popular and zombies were all the rage, I wrote a story about a guy who was very incompetent and couldn't survive the zombie apocalypse because everyone in these zombie movies could survive the zombie apocalypse. And so I think it's kind of like, you know, you take away from other pieces what you want, as long as you're not, you know, skewing it in a way that you've totally kind of ruined the idea of it, or the you know, the symbols behind it, or just taking the ideas themselves and just putting them in a different world. Like if I were to have, you know, I have I have a vampire and werewolf book where the girl doesn't fall in love with a vampire or werewolf, and so, but if I had just put all the same characters in it and just had the way I wanted it to do, it would be, you know, taking from those stories that I've taken it from. So.
And we live in an age where so many stories have been told, so many things have been done, that it's kind of hard to be original.
Mm-hmm.
So we take bits and pieces from the things that we like, and we create based on that.
But like, so when talking about originality, like, you know, nothing is original, but we're still at a point where not every idea has been done. You know,
You have to be really obscure.
yeah, but even still, like even zombie things. There's still plenty of zombie stories to tell, right?
Right, and
There's
everything
still-
can be twisted on its head, just like again, like I take tropes and I go, well, what's the most popular? How can I make that completely different while still keeping those same aspects in there? Yeah.
Because you can still put Harry Potter in a character like Harry Potter into a zombie situation. Then a character like Hermione, a character like Ron, and then even jump to different series. But change them up, tweak them up a bit, change their name, change their character design.
So it's not a blatant rip.
Yeah.
But like even going back to the conventions and like Maya said, people go to these conventions and are only looking for fan art. But even online, people are looking for fan art, and that kind of it's discouraging.
Because as a creator, you want to create your own original thing, and you want people to enjoy your original thing.
Yeah.
But in order to get to that point, they need to like what you've done, and you have to rip from somebody else for a while.
Because I've played around a little bit, I prefer modeling things rather than characters, right? But I got into characters because it's, that's what sells more. But I ended up making this Darkstalkers fan art, Darkstalkers and a Steven Universe fan art, right? Both of them are really well done. I can do a lot better than both of them, especially the Darkstalkers one. But that Steven Universe got me crap tons of followers. It has, some of the most likes on my page. And then the Darkstalkers ones, it's still getting me followers to this day. It doesn't have a whole lot of likes, but like at least once a week, it's still getting me followers. I have a much better Cyclops that I did, and it's not getting me anything. It doesn't get likes. It doesn't get followers.
Just for so the Cyclops isn't the X-Men Cyclops.
Oh.
It's an original.
It's an
Cyclops,
actual,
Yeah,
And I think really when it comes down to art itself with these individual pieces is that you have only your art to tell the story, and so it's hard for them to make these connections. I think I have a much easier time with my art style writing because I'm able to really establish who these people are and like build a world for them and put them inside of it, but you guys are very limited to your medium. And so I think with that it's a struggle because you have to bring them in with your style. And so once they like your style through the fan art, then that's when
they can like your original work.
Exactly.
But even still, with I would imagine with stories, that fanfics are I don't know how you would track like the views or reads or whatever. But you even see this within like the comic kind of space, where fanfic, like short fanfic comics, will get tons of likes, tons of shares and stuff like that. But if I'm looking for something original or new or fresh, I actually have to go searching.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is too, and I've it's why I'm being very careful before publishing my first book, and is that people need to trust you to, especially for an extensive work, something that's going to take more than like 10 minutes to read through. People aren't going to want to trust you with your time unless you've established yourself. And it's kind of like that catch-22 of like, I have to publish this book to establish myself, but no one will read it unless I'm established. So I think that's, I think that goes across all mediums, is the fact that, people have to trust you as an artist in order to look deeper into your work.
Yeah.
So...
Because we even, I go to this art club and we were talking, it was Penny Arcade and who else? There was another group of basically these webcomic guys, right? Who basically, Penny Arcade is now PAX.
Yeah.
People who own PAX did Penny Arcade. And they were able to get so big because the market wasn't saturated,
There wasn't a market yet. They created it.
Yeah, they created the market. They, didn't have to compete with, fan art and stuff like that. So they're able to, get super big. but basically those opportunities are gone now. No one can ever be Penny Arcade again. You know.
Yeah, a lot of it's about timing. You know, if it's one of those things where you have an original IP of some sort, and you establish yourself in the right moment, and the next thing you know, it blows up. Then you're one of the lucky ones because you're the first.
Yeah, yeah. But even still, like, it's like you basically have to sell your soul now. You know, Steven Universe is a fantastic freaking show. You know, super unique, but for it, if it weren't on Cartoon Network, it would be nothing. Right? No one would read Steven Universe if it weren't on Cartoon
It
Network.
might be popular on Tumblr.
Maybe.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing of, the society or whatever we live in is the fact that, again, with the trust aspect, if a big major corporation has taken you on, people go, oh, they must be good. Even if they're terrible and, there's dozens of, my go-to example for this is 50 Shades of Grey. There are millions of better books out there, but because a publishing company took it under its wing, it was like, oh, people will buy this, and people were buying it, and there's lots of buzz about it. People bought that and read that rather than, maybe some, good literature, like Jane Austen or Stephen King or, something like that. No, they decided to spend, it's a very long book and it's a series anyways, but it's just kind of if a corporation has taken it under its wing, if it's been published, if it's on TV, then people are going to trust it. And so that's the struggle with people like us who we don't have that backing, but we are all talented, but people are kind of like, well, I mean, people always ask me, well, are you published? And it's like, no, bitch, but I will be one day.
So, given that thought, that at the end of the day, we all still want to do our own original stuff. Is fanfic, fan art, fan film, is that out of the question for you?
No, he's sold his soul, and he has to make fan art to draw people in.
Well, I'm just saying for all of us.
For me, I would say fan fiction, because that's, I can draw stick figures, so it's totally out of the question because I just don't have the time to devote to something that isn't going to move my career forward, because fanfic also, no one takes a writer seriously if they are also a fanfic writer. It just doesn't, those two worlds don't connect. Y'all fan art.
See, it's different for artists because, we do fan art. It's the one that draws people in, and then we can get them in for our original work, and then but they still expect the fan art at the end of the day.
Once someone finds out a writer writes fan fiction, they're like, oh, so you
you're
don't,
a hobbyist.
Yeah, so you don't really take your work seriously. So, but fan film, I think that's something that I would be interested in, because I think it's a great way to not have to branch out too far and you have a world already built that you can explore. There's millions of different facets of movies and TV shows that you can explore. Maybe even books, you could create a scene from a book. I think that'd be a really cool way to get into into filming. So
It's odd that so with fan films and fan art, people see that and they're like, oh, this shows your ability to work in this medium.
But they don't do the same for fan fiction.
With writers, it's like, oh, you're just playing around.
Yeah. Well, the thing, so not to sound like I am the lower class citizen or whatever, but with writers, there's very little respect for writers, because pretty much anyone can get on their computers, pop out a few sentences. People don't really respect the craft of writing anymore, because there's books everywhere. People learned how to write an essay in high school and things like that. So you have to be really careful as a writer to make sure that you are not putting yourself in a position where people can discredit you. So fan fiction.
I think that's the tough part of a medium, because even if you look at comics, right? Folks when you're excited about a book, it's usually because whatever artist is working on it. Unless you're a big name writer, you're a Brian Michael Bendis or Jim Lee's not writing anything.
But artist.
But yeah, see, that makes my point right there. You know, folks are like, oh, this guy's working on that book. I want to read that book. You're not even thinking about the writing at the time. You're thinking about the art that you're going to get ready to see.
I think that's another thing too, is that, you know, writing in all mediums, it kind of falls by the wayside because, I mean, there's freelance writers, there's ghost writers, like, you know, people don't really feel compelled to necessarily always give credit to the writer because people have the belief that anyone can write, so the art is what's at the forefront of comics.
And I think that's wrong because writing in itself is the backbone of anything that we do. If you're doing film, unless that script is crap, then your film, no matter who the director is, is not going to be any good.
Every media medium has writers behind it, but like I think The Simpsons is one of those shows that really makes fun of the fact that writers are so like neglected in the media community because they're always making fun of like, oh yeah, there's just some apes in the background just writing on typewriters and that's how we get our scripts and things like that. So I think as writers, I mean, not to, I'm trying to, I'm like, oh, please feel sorry for me. I'm a writer. It's so hard. But no, I mean, it's just kind of like
No, that's a reality.
Yeah. I mean, and this just because of the fact of the matter is we live in a time when reading is far more difficult than the other. Like looking at art is simple. You just take it in. Looking at a film, you take it in. But with reading, you have to devote time and effort and energy, and so people are very stingy about their time when it comes to reading, and a lot of people don't read anymore. So, yeah. Wah, wah, wah.
Okay, so it's I know it's different for you, Phil, because you don't devote yourself to any one particular part, you know, exclusively or at all for right now. That may change.
Right on.
But for you, what does that mean for you? You know, are you willing to jump into the game? I don't know about fan fiction, but at least, you know, fan film, fan art.
Fan film, maybe, because it'd be a great idea to, like, put your idea out there, explore, and like what y'all were saying, explore an existing universe. Maybe not like in the fray with, you know, whoever. I'm not fighting side by side with Luke Skywalker. I'm maybe like a junker on some meteor, something like that, who just happened to find a lightsaber and sold it to somebody.
That's a film in itself.
Yeah. So like that would be a great idea. Like I'm all for that, but there's
Put it out.
There's a lot of stuff out there that is basically just I'm fighting side by side or fighting the main character or I'm, you know, in a love interest with the main character. It's whatever.
Yeah, it's basically just someone in their fantasy. They wanted themselves to be inserted into that universe, and so
basically.
And that's why I thought that short with Amelie-ami-chan was really cool because she's playing an original character who blinded herself because she was so quick. She wanted to be a Jedi so quickly, and her stealing her master's lightsaber, turns it on, screws up, and blinds herself for it, but ends up becoming a master in the end regardless. It's an original story. There's no recognizable characters, but you recognize the universe, and that's what makes it a good fan film.
And also, you know, it what I thought was really cool about it is that it touched on both the struggles of Anakin and Luke, but it's a different character. Like, I want to learn now. I want to know this stuff. I want to. So it wasn't an original idea in the sense that what the main plot was. It was the same thing that we see in both the first and second, and I guess the third now trilogy. But you know that desire to become a Jedi, like, instantly, and so it's just kind of like so I thought that's why that was so great, because she took that whole idea and made it her own, and it was ingenious, and I love her so much.
That and her videos are all good.
I like you know those films. I've pretty much seen all the Star Wars fan films. As much as I talk about, I don't like fan stuff. Like, I still look at it. I stopped buying fan art. If I see a piece of fan art that's like really over the top that I just gotta have, or there's a shortage of merch, because a lot of this, you know, fan stuff comes from people aren't putting in the money, companies aren't putting in money for merch, you know, like hire an artist, make some prints, sell them for $15. Like you put half of Artist Alley out of work.
Why
You know?
are you telling? This is how I make money.
You're ruining it.
I guess I gotta
but you
edit this
guys,
out.
though, you guys, the best fan art that we've ever encountered, Sexy Link.
Yes. Sexy Link was amazing.
The look on Phil's face right now.
I'm glad you didn't bring it with you today.
Sexy Link is my jam. I didn't want to risk ruining him, so yeah.
Like
Why is that a thing? Why is it gotta be like that, guys?
But you gotta be. I mean, that's real though. That's in the game. That's just behind the scenes. You know,
That's in the
you
game?
know, Link's ripped like that. And he's
And,
like,
and tatted.
he's like, oh yeah, you walk in like Princess Zelda accidentally walked in. He grabs the shield. He goes, oh, ooh, Princess Zelda, I didn't know you were coming.
Why is Link taking a bath
So,
in
wait,
the castle of
You heard,
Hyrule Castle?
you heard that,
Because
right?
He's the hero.
Fan fiction.
Yeah, but like he usually in most games he is like
This is after the fact.
a far what?
Yeah, this is after he beat Hyrule, and now he's a hero.
He
of
beat Hyrule.
Yeah, he beat Ganondorf.
I beat all
and
of
now
Hyrule.
He's the hero
And now
of Hyrule.
it's time for the Mushroom Kingdom.
Yeah, and so Zelda wanted to sneak a peek, and he managed to get his shield in front of him beforehand. We'll post a picture of this to
Again,
let
That was on the previous podcast.
the
but-
listeners know what we're talking about. Anyways,
But yeah, are any of those, you know, out of just fan art for sure? I can tell. Even though you feel like you need to.
Yeah, I feel like I need to, and I hate feeling like that. You know, I didn't make a Bowsette.
Yet.
yet.
But you would get those hits though.
Yeah, like I
Imagine if you 3D printed one.
Don't 3D print one. Your 3D print will be violated.
I mean, it already is. But okay.
Because like I know I've missed the Bowsette train, but I know another one's coming because another one always comes, and I hate feeling like I'm missing out on something because I've been working on those ice cream cones that I introduced in January. Like Bowsette comes out in the middle of me working on that, and I'm like, do I drop the ice cream cones? I know I can probably get me 40 new followers by making a Bowsette. This is like on day one. I saw it on day one. Like, I'm like, all right, I can make one by the end of the week. Get like 40 new followers, or keep working on these ice cream cones. So,
And you optimally chose to stay with the ice cream cones.
yeah, because I prefer to work on whatever it is I wanna work on
Instead of following the trend.
Yeah.
Even if the trend gets hit.
I think with following the trends, it works if you have the time. I think that if you're really wanting to, make it as an artist. I mean, I think very skilled at whipping these things out quickly. Like you can draw, and it might seem like a long time to you, but you'll be posting these things. I'm just like, how does she do this so quickly? So yeah. So but then for a lot of us, it's just kind of like. It's like, oh well, there's a thing that nope, I gotta keep trucking on this thing. So yeah.
But like, I'm not opposed to doing fan films. I would prefer more original stuff like Oat Studios. I'm really into the Oat Studios stuff. If you don't know, it's the dude who made District 9, Elysium, and Chappie.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I cannot remember his name right now, but yeah, I know you're talking about.
Something Blomkamp.
Oh, Neil Blomkamp.
Yeah.
Neil Blomkamp. Yeah.
Yeah. So he went and he was tired of Hollywood. He went and made his own studio, and his stuff is, pretty decent budget looking stuff. I mean, he's capable of making some really good original films, but I know he's probably suffering because it's not a Titans fan film that's better than the show. You know?
Okay, so for Maya, for somebody who's already doing that kind of thing, do you think that hinders you from keeping your original characters, which I know you want to do stuff with, but you're not sure what you want to do with them, but does that hinder you from...
Yeah, so the time that I have to spend on fan art does take away from the time I could be spending working and fleshing out my own original ideas. But it doesn't bother me because I know that I can sell that fan art. Like it'll attract people to me and maybe get someone interested in my original stuff who wouldn't have been otherwise. So I don't see it as a hindrance. Like I like doing some fan art. Sometimes I'm like, I don't really care about this character, but this movie just came out, and when I feel like I have to make fan art, it just doesn't look good because it's like I don't care about this character at all.
Passion's not in it.
So you don't care for forcing yourself to follow the trend of the time.
Yeah.
So it's like right now, despite what critics may say, Venom is hot, and you wouldn't want to pump out Venom work because
I might do like a sexy lady Venom, but no.
it's like what last thing we get this year is what, Aquaman?
Sexy lady Aquaman.
because she can't draw boys.
No, I kind of thought about doing like just a portrait because like my Okoye that I did was super realistic portrait kind of Aquaman, but I don't know, like it's not, because the other thing is that when you have a body of work or you're trying to get people to be interested in it, it has to be similar. Like if you have a bunch of different styles that you kind of float between,
it makes it look like you're all over the place.
Yeah, and people, because they like what's familiar. If it doesn't feel like the samey, or it doesn't feel like the same style, they might not be as interested in following you
because it doesn't seem consistent.
Yeah, so like I don't know if I've kind of thought about what I should do. Kind of still on the fence about things, but it's all about branding. You have to have your own brand, so people can recognize something and be like, oh yeah, that's this person's work.
I thought about making different accounts for stuff.
Yeah.
Because I make like hyper realistic product shots, and then I've been doing character stuff. I might just...
Yeah, I mean, because like if you look at your Instagram, for example, it does seem like it's all over the place because you've got like these realistic cameras that you did, and then there's scoops.
Yeah.
And then there's the busts that you do, and it's like, man, this guy's all over the place. But I think the only thing that's consistent is the fact that they know you're a modeler, so you're modeling any and everything. So that may work in your favor because of your profession. It's different for somebody who works in a 2D medium, where if I want to do a realistic painting this day and then do something cartoony for another piece, it doesn't look like it's from the same person.
Yeah.
So, okay.
What?
That was weird. Man, I just lost my train of thought.
Yeah, like when you think about the people that you follow and the reason that you follow them,
It's because they have a
because of
consistent
their
body.
style. Like, oh, this person's style is really cool. I like it. I want to see what else they do. But when they start to deviate from that style, most people are going to be like, this is
I like
not
what you
I
do.
followed you for.
Yeah, it's like I like what you did before.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like this stuff now.
Yeah. Or if when they get to you, you have like just a body of work that's all over the place. You're like, I'm gonna pass on that.
So, depending on the type of fan, whatever, everybody's kind of down to do that, which is good, because
I think we all had the consensus that no one is going to do fan fiction.
unfortunately,
That's what you think.
Oh, okay. Phil's gonna get to do fan fiction.
Philip's secretly been writing Spider-Man fan fiction for years.
I'm actually
He's
the
really like an illustrious author. He is just amazing. Like beautiful prose, just all the way through.
he just doesn't like to brag
I'm
about
actually
it.
in the leading in that field.
No, yes.
Leading in the field of fan fiction.
Yes, actually.
He's the
I am the king of the land,
Okay.
He's the Stephanie Meyer of fan fiction. That was not a jab. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. You can jab at that.
But yeah, it's empty. All gone.
No more donuts.
Oh yeah, but we actually knocked it out at a better time than I thought we would.
That's good because my mama wants to see me at 3.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I think the thing at the end of the day, just keep creating, whether it's professional work, fan work, just keep creating. Just don't copy, don't steal, because it makes you look like crap, and you should feel like crap if you're a terrible person.
Before we sign off, there is a guy who does reviews for video games who put out a review, and he got fired from his job because he completely 100% word for word plagiarized someone else's review of the same game, but because he's a bigger name, it really got more views than the guy who posted it on YouTube from IGN.
And those types of people are trash.
Yeah.
That's another thing with fan art. You go and you make something, and then someone bigger makes it, and even if yours is better, they get more.
And it's like, well, I did it first. I posted this 2 weeks ago, and this guy posted yesterday, and he's got 1,200 times more views than I have.
No one. I'm pretty sure you could find who made the original Bowsette, but
It's
I'm
buried.
pretty sure
It's buried at this point.
It's so buried.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Okay, but at the end of the day, keep creating and continue to be awesome. Again, I'm DevTheDoc,
I'm Caitlin.
I'm Wyatt.
Maya.
I'm Phil.
and we will catch you guys in the next episode.
Wyatt, take it away.
Dun, dun,
A classic.
dun,